Hey, what's the deal, everybody? Thanks for tapping back in with your boy Savage. Welcome to the channel, The Savage Family. You know, if you like the videos, be sure to smash that thumbs up. If you want to be a part of the channel, be a part of the wave, man, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you do subscribe, when you do subscribe, hit that bell notification so that way you'll be notified when your boy drops future videos. So with all that being said, let's get into it, man. Last night I'm watching a horror movie with wifey. And I'm like, damn, baby, you know, I'll start telling her some stories because sure enough, every pen, every jail, pretty much everywhere I've been to, man, I've in some form or fashion experienced some type of spiritual, either attack. I've seen some stuff, you know, and I've been around people, you know, who I felt like were truly possessed, you know, but, I never really spoke on it. You know, every now and then I would throw those stories out to my girl or whatever, but so last night we watching this horror movie, you know, she spooked, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, babe, you know, I used to trip out on people. We talking about possessions, you know, and I used to just trip out on some of the dudes that was coming in because at the end of the day, it was like, damn, man, something ain't right with you, you know. And a lot of this that actually happened to me was on my first term, man. When I was in the county jail, it's what I had witnessed when I was in county jail. It wasn't so much as the attacks, you know, that didn't happen until I got to prison. But when I was in the county jail, I had come a lot, being in the dorm. I don't understand why the deputies at the time, well, they just really didn't care. Actually, I do understand. You know, they want to see violence and they want to promote, you know, people getting hurt and put people in a place where they don't really need to be. So one thing that they would often do is throw inmates into the dorm with us. And this is GP gang module at the time. So they're throwing inmates into this dorm with us that don't need to be there. You know, they're throwing inmates who take meds. And at the time, I don't know why. I can't tell y'all why, but homies could not take meds, right? Weren't allowed to take meds, right? So you had a bunch of homies who would come in, you know, it wouldn't be a whole bunch of them, but you know, being there for as long as I was fighting my case, you see homies come and go. Well, every now and then you get a homie who's just kind of off his rocker. And, you know, it's easy to write him off and be like, oh, he's a J-cat. Oh, he's, you know, he's cuckoo or he's retarded or whatever you want to say, you know. But for me, I would really spend time with him, try to get to know him, because for me, we got to keep them sharp, man. You got to keep their mind stimulated. You got to keep them, you know, busy, because they can actually start an all-out riot, you know, because they're loose cannons, you know. And every race had some. You know, at one point or another, every race had some, at least a couple, at all times and all points throughout the whole thing, at least one or two in every single race. So you kind of had to keep track of them. You had to keep tabs of them for the simple fact they could cause an all-out riot. They can cause an all-out war by misperceiving somebody's actions and then reacting wrong because they don't really know what they're doing, you know? So anyways, I would take my time, get to know them, talk to them, you know, ask them questions. And like I was telling Brittany, man, there was this one. I remember when he came in walking in like, you know, real stiff like a robot. And he had this huge black rings around his eyes like he hadn't slept in forever. I remember how bad his breath smelled so bad, like something had died in his mouth. He had really long nails, and he looked like he was always sweating. So I want to say his name was Edgar or Oscar, but he was a cool guy, you know, in my opinion. You know, he had the mind of like maybe a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, but he was a grown man, maybe in his middle 20s, you know. So, you know, one thing we didn't appreciate is when we saw that the cops would throw people like that into our pod, we wouldn't just smash them out and victimize them, because that's what the cops probably wanted us to do. We would actually take care of our own people, you know. We went as far as helping him shower, making him cutting his nails for him. But let me tell you some of the characteristics of this dude, man. He used to freak everyone out, man, because we in the dorms, top and bottom tier dorms. He literally would get up. He would be laying there, and as he's laying there, he would actually get up. And as soon as he would get up, he would just jump and look straight at his pillow. He would look straight at his blanket and just stare at it, like as if something was laying where he was just laying. And I would ask him, everyone would always ask him, like, bro, what are you staring at? You know, what do you see? Why do you jump up and always do that? He could never give a straight answer. I can't remember what he would say, but it would always be either he wouldn't answer you, or if he did answer you, it just would be a bunch of incoherent babble. You know, he never gave you nothing. So that was one big thing that led me to believe that this man was possessed, or something was messing with them or controlling them. So after that, you know, he started doing, and when he would sleep, mind you, when he would sleep like a mummy, straight like a mummy, but he would have his blanket all the way over his face, tucked over like that. And no matter what, if he's laying there and he's chilling like that, out of nowhere, he'd just rip everything off, jump up, and look straight at his bed, stare straight at his bed. And okay, so that was one. Okay, now follow me here. Y'all let me know what you think. Another one. In between, did I just sound like DJ Khaled? I think I just sounded like DJ Khaled. So in between the bunks though, they had like on the bottom tier, they had like this kind of space where everyone used to catch fades, 2-on-1, 3-on-1. Anyone have been to West Valley in the dorms, you know, they got that space between the bunks on the bottom. It's not the hugest amount of space, but it's like it blocks the staircase blocks the tower from seeing you guys. Trust me, you've been to West Valley, you know what I'm talking about. So he would go right there and he would literally stare a couple inches from the wall. He would stand stiff as a statue and just stare. And he would smile though. He would smile as if something or somebody was telling him jokes or talking to him. You know what I'm saying? And then not only that, the dude literally, when they would shut down program, we do our roll calls or whatever, the lights would turn off in the dorm. He would be staring off because it got dark towards the front of the dorm. He would be staring off at the TV. And back then the TV wasn't where it's at now. I guess, see now how when I walk now, it's now when I went there, it's above the whole front of the pod. It's like right high so every cell can see it. But before then, it used to be like directly on the side. So not everyone could see it. Maybe that's why they moved it. But this dude would literally just stare at the TV all night long. And the creepiest thing about him is that he had this crazy smile. He'd say these crazy things, and every now and then he'd talk to you coherently. I remember I asked him one time, like, why he was busted. He was in there for chasing, I think his aunt, he chased his tia around with a knife, and he didn't remember why he was there. He didn't remember doing it. Trust me, I know a lot of y'all say, you know, people act and they pretend because they scared, man, but when he in the shower and the homies is having to, like, really talk him through taking a shower and cutting his nails and brushing his teeth, and it's all full of blood, his eyes got these big old black rings. It's, trust me, you can tell when somebody's really far gone. So in everyone's opinion, you know, a lot of y'all might think it's just mental health, but to me, I really believe the man was possessed, man. I've never seen nobody jump up and stare into their bed with this crazy sinister smile. I've never seen somebody just laugh out of nowhere the way he was doing it. I've seen people, you know, cuckoo people, you know, just laugh out of nowhere, but the way he was doing it was like as if someone was really in his ear talking to him and whispering to him. Okay, so that's one, right? Old Folsom prison. You go to Old Folsom, they will tell you flat out this place is haunted. This place, you'll see I was in the bottom tier. I want to say it was like D1909. They have a weird way of how they label the tiers now, but it was bottom tier next to the main kitchen in one block. In one block, right? I think that's the biggest block they had. So it's a main kitchen, the showers. We on that tier. We used to call it death row because it was just me and another cell who was our race, and the rest was blacks, and we was going at it with them at the time. So we was the homies on death row. But so at night, you know, it was common. Everyone knows that you could hear like footsteps walking by your cell super late. That wasn't the guard. Even the guards knew about that place being haunted. And you have to think, man, these places have been surrounded by forces, man. They have witnessed, those walls have witnessed so much death, so much bloodshed, so much murder. You have to understand that and it's such a violent place. It's prevalent in violence. That's a place where those kind of spirits and stuff would frequently, you know, travel. You can't be opposed to that concept. You know what I'm saying? So that was another prison where you know, just he would hear things. We would always hear things, and we would know damn well that wasn't the guard. And we would ask the guard, "Hey, did you walk 20 minutes ago?" "Nah, man, I didn't walk." He'd be like, "Oh, you probably hearing something, some kind of name for the ghost that he knew about, because he had been a regular there. He had worked there for such a long time, so he knew about it." Now let's get into some of the attacks though, the personal attacks. I remember I had a homie, Freddie, from Sol Valle, from Sun Valley. He was my celly, man, in the pen. And we sitting there and we talking about a lot of things, man. We talking about, you know, Santa Muerte. We talking, because I used to actually, you know, mess with that stuff, you know, too. Well, he put me onto it. So we talking about all kinds of things like that. He's telling me about the prayer. He's telling me how it works, blah, blah, blah. that night, we talking about chupacabra. We talking about everything. So that same night, this is one thing that used to happen to me throughout any prison I was in for the longest. I would be laying there, and I would be halfway in and halfway out to sleep, and my body would just get completely stuck, and I couldn't move my head. Sometimes I couldn't even breathe. I would be petrified, terrified, because I knew something evil was afoot. You know, something evil was upon me. Trip out on this. Over the years, I learned how to combat that feeling. And it's going to sound funny, man. It's going to sound funny. But over the years, I learned how to chase that off of me. And I know what it was. I know it was a demonic presence trying to be on me, trying to put his presence on me, or maybe trying to, you know, keep my mind in a dark place, and would attack me when I was half in sleep and half out of sleep. I'm talking about I'd be on my side. For some reason, it used to love getting me when I was laying on my side, man. I'd be laying there and I'd be like dozing out, and then I'd go try to turn a little bit and I couldn't move. I'd be stuck and I couldn't breathe. That's when it would get me every time. So this is how I learned how to combat that. It's gonna sound crazy, but it worked, and it would probably work for you too. So it got to the point where I would be frustrated. It was happening every single night, and I would be frustrated. I would be so mad that I started fighting it. Yeah, I started fighting it, man. Like, as soon as I felt stuck, I would use all my strength, anger. I would be so angry at it that I would just want to attack whatever demon this was. I was going to attack this demon. So I'd be like, boom, get the fuck off me. And I scream it so loud. And my cellie be like, hey, fool, what the hell, you good? And I'd be laughing. I'd be like, my boy, my bad. My bad, my boy. It ain't, you know what I mean? I ain't tripping on you or nothing like that. What I'm, you know what I'm saying, that thing was on me. And he'd be like, damn, he like, cause he'll see me. I'll be fully perspired. I'll be out of breath, man. Cause I'll be fighting it. You know what I mean? I'll be fighting it. And finally I'll kick it off and I'll be like, get the fuck away from me, man. But I would really not be scared no more. I would really be trying to fight this damn thing. You know what I'm saying? But with the power of God, you know what I mean? With that great spirit, with that good spirit that God gives you. He doesn't give you a spirit of fear. You know what I'm saying? And sure enough, it became easier. It became so easy that like I'd be like half out, half in. And as soon as I'd turn and I'd feel it and I'd get stuck just for a second, I'd be like, man, get the fuck off me. And it'd be gone like that. And then it got to a point where I didn't even need to say no words. I could just, bam, get it up off me. And see, I know a lot of you guys who are not really in tune or inclined to the spiritual realm or nothing like that, or to anything of that, you know, reality. You're probably like, damn, this fool a J-Cat, or this fool crazy. But it's been years. That hasn't happened to me in years because of the way I handle stuff. I've had very, very, very vivid dreams that really were symbolic, man. I've had dreams where I quote scriptures that I've never read before. I've had dreams where I've battled and been fearless amongst some scary situations. And I'm talking about chasing a girl who looked like Emily Rose, Exorcist of Emily Rose, chasing her into a pitch black room just to save her because I knew she was being dragged in by evil spirits. So I won't get so too far into that, but at the end of the day, what the whole point I'm trying to make is that I battled them and I fought them off, and they started though. Those attacks started because of my first cellie, man. We got to talking about Santa Muerte, we got to talking about Chupacabra and all this other crazy stuff from Aiko, right? He got to telling me these crazy stories about, you know, experiences from his grandpa and his uncles and everybody. You know, he was an older dude, and I loved hearing it. So when I converted over to the Santa Muerte at the time, I experienced a crazy attack, man. I experienced a crazy attack that night. See, over there in Tehachapi, this was in Tehachapi, they got the vents, right? And you can like hook up a square sheet to the vents, and you can leave one corner open so that way it kind of like blows at an angle. But anyone in the pen who's had to deal with these vents knows how to manipulate the airflow so you can get it to both you guys or one of you guys. Anyways, so I'm laying there, and once again, I'm half in, half out of sleep, half in and half out of consciousness. And out of nowhere, I get stuck again, right? And I'm looking at my foot, and I'm like, damn, if I could only just shake my foot, because I'm feeling like this is the one. I'm feeling like we was talking about all these crazy ones, and this is the one that's on me. It felt pretty terrifying. So I'm looking at my foot, and I'm like, man, if I could just kick my foot off, I could call a homie. He could jump up and he could wake me up, or, you know, shake me out of this. So I kick my foot over. Oh no, wait, before I kick my foot over, one thing I noticed is that the vent, how I manipulated was one corner was open. So it was like, you know, loosely like this as the air was angling me. Well, when this was happening, it was like, Like, it was like a tornado was just blowing me down to my bed, man. A tornado was just straight keeping me stuck to my mattress. That's how heavy and loud the airflow was. So it was terrifying, man. I'm looking at my foot, and finally I kick my foot over. I'm like, Freddie. That's my celly's name. I'm Freddie. And he jumps up. He's like, what's up, G? You good? You good? I'm like, my boy, dog. What the hell was that, dog? Something happened, dog. Like, hey, I can't explain it, my boy. And he's like, oh, man. He's like, it's because everything we was talking about, my boy. He was like, we spoke on a lot of demons. We spoke on a lot of realms. It could be Santa Muerte making her presence on you. It could be a lot of things, man. I was like, whoo, man, that was scary, man. That was a scary experience, man. But, I ended up converting to that. No longer do I mess with anything of any of that. I've seen the darkness. I've seen things that I probably will never speak on. I've spoke on them before. One of my homies, he was there with me when something happened. He knows I live in denial. I try not to even pretend like I was a part of that, but we all know what we saw that night. It was terrifying. You know what I'm saying? It was terrifying. It was something that you lose sleep over if you think about it. So I try not to think about it too much. But at the end of the day, man, I just wanted to share this story with y'all, man, because no matter how bad the situation was, who attacked me, what attacked me, whatever it was, there definitely is paranormal entities all throughout prison. There definitely is paranormal entities all in those cells, because you're in a place where murder, torture, all kinds of crazy stuff is happening in these prisons throughout the decades. Of course, demonic and evil spirits are going to linger. I've seen them firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand. There's so many more stories I have, but the point of this video was to show you, yes, in case you guys are wondering, there is a lot of paranormal activity going on in those prisons. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Much love, much respect. I'm out.